Hey everyone, Phil from Aussie Garage. Welcome to this week's episode. We're going to speak to Happy about his collection that he's got in here, and this thing was a show winner, Grand Champion at Summernats, so let's go have a look. Hey everyone, well I'm here today with Happy. Now Happy's got a whole bunch of cars here and this nice workshop, so we're going to check out this car first. So tell us about this car, mate, and where you got started and what you had to do to get it to this condition.
I've got the car in probably, I think it was 2004, give or take, 2005. It was used as a tradie ute by one of the guys where I lived in Newman, Brock. And he finally had enough. I'd bugged him enough to get the car, and it was a 350, turbo 350, 9-inch, and just, it was cream.
Okay.
And yeah, so I bought that off him, and I drove it to work every day, and then chopped the tray, dropped the tray down, lowered it, put some wheels, did all that, and then I pulled it off the road just to paint it black, and 10 years later it came out like that.
Did it have the old tradie front end still when you got it?
No, it had an interesting, so back in a bit of the 80s spec, they used to put the twin Statesman grille.
Oh, yeah,
single headlight. Yep. So it was very noticeable front when I had the car.
Yep.
Everyone thought it was a Pontiac or something or other. It's quite funny. Yeah, so I changed that over and went to the Prem for this one. I like all the fronts.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and then it just sort of got out of hand, and then I had big wheels, and I thought I better put a bigger motor in, and then it ended up getting the F2 Pro Charge 406 small block. So yeah, I thought I better be able to turn those tyres. So that'd be right.
Yeah, definitely. So when you first got it, like, was there heaps of rust in this thing, or was it fairly okay?
It was a really good shell. So I took it down to strip bare.
Yep.
And Greg Hogan blasted it for us, and it had a little dent on the back left behind the door, so that got pulled out and re-welded. But other than that, there's only a couple of little specks, little tiny holes, so it's a really good shell. That's why I wanted the car.
Yeah, nice.
So, no, I was very, very happy with it.
Sure.
And well, it changed my mind of flat flooring, bead rolling new floor pieces, and when I can't mess with that, so decided I'll keep the nice floor and just, sanded that back and painted straight over it. So
perfect.
It looks nice.
Yeah, so is this just straight out black, or is it a different version of black with a fleck through it? Or?
It's, a lot of people notice that it's a different black to most other blacks. This one's, it's a bit of a trick, but it's, you've got jet black, but then we've also got black in the clear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, so that what gives it more of like a black chrome look.
Perfect.
And it's a lot of people come up and say, how is yours more black than mine? And so we've painted the car, I think, 3 times now, and the last one is by far the best. So done by Neil at Exclusive FX. And then when I give it to Benzini's detailing, old Benzini he hates this car and loves this car. He doesn't like it when I give it to him. He's oh no. So, but when he gives it back, like it's like you can sink into it. He's a magician at what he does.
So from start to finish, when you started to restore this to get it to where you want it, how many years was that?
It was a total of 9 before it moved under its own steam. So lots of it, as I've said before in different things, that it was lots of saving. So I don't like to ever get loans out for these sort of things. So a lot of it sat around for a while putting a heap of money, because there's a heap of money in it, that's for sure.
For sure.
That's sort of where it took so long to build. And you modify and you get another part and then change it, and you're not quite happy with that, and then it's the same as what I've done at the front. It's had a different couple of different styles of A-arms and suspension sets. And
Okay, yeah.
now it's got the United speed front in it, which absolutely stunning bits. Those boys are very, very clever over there.
Yeah.
QA1, double adjustables, all that sort of thing. It just modifies, and then you add all the bits that I don't use, gets donated to another car.
Yeah, that's it.
Car.
You've got plenty to put them into.
Yeah,
so
well then,
fine.
I've got most of the parts to build a car, so then I just go and buy a shell, and then the next thing we're building another car.
Yeah, great.
So,
and you mentioned the wheels and stuff like that. So what actually are the brand of the wheels that you've got on here?
this one, at the minute, they've got, they're billets, and they're 15 by 18, so 18 by 15 wide.
Nice.
And 18 by 7 wide on the front.
Okay, yeah.
So
you've got that good offset.
good offset, and you can go to full lock on the front as low as it sits now, and nothing touches. That's what all to do with the A-arms.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's it doesn't scrub, doesn't do anything. It's got good lock. It's got a Tirana steering rack in it at the moment, so we might be doing a few mods to that soon. And it's got some new shoes. Got some 15 by 15 Alumistar double bead locks.
Okay, nice.
And then get it ready to go down the strip finally. So yeah, starting to set it up for that. So that'll be a bit of fun.
All right, Happy, man. This thing is, this is unreal. Like, so tell us about this engine and what you've got and the setup and everything else that you've got in here.
There's lots of little pieces in this bay that you probably won't be able to see or notice until you point them out. So one, deleted wiper setups, that's all gone. Little holes and making a tiny little divot inside of there.
Okay.
So the Pro Charger would fit, but I like the shape of the swage. A lot of people sort of hit those out and make them smooth, whereas I quite like that line in there. So I then just modified it so I could still keep the same guard. And
yeah, fair enough.
People don't even notice that it actually would hit. You look in there, and obviously the A-arms that we spoke about prior, the custom rack from Tirana, obviously. We've got the manifold there. You'll notice that's just a small block Chev manifold. And we had to turn it into injected. So we had to make all the bosses custom set. So it was very, very difficult because the angles are all wrong to deal with it. So to try to find a machine that would do that and make them all identical, and then there are 3-stage to machine them in to get the injectors to sit. And then we grabbed some Holly rails and made some different bits, and then different fill rails from that. And then because it was blow through carby first, and we just had enough of that, and I thought I needed a little bit more accuracy through the fuel system. So we've just put a spacer in there to try to get that working. Yeah, I'm not happy with that throttle body there. That's going in a bin. I've got a fast throttle body in there, and yeah, I've just got to grab the bigger injectors ready for a bit more boost. Go for a tune soon enough. So looking forward to that. Give me a little bit more of a buzz when I drive it. So you want it to hold together. So obviously over-engineer and build it so it takes an absolute beating and it doesn't break on you.
Extractor wires and gearbox and diffs at the back?
Extractors there are custom, very similar to the pacemaker setups. Made all that, and then the guys at Custom Exhaust did that. Then we modified on the inside there to clear the different rack, and so we had to move all those in. And then, yeah, so a guy, Daniel and Brian, Outlaw Performance and all those guys, everyone, like this car's not just me, that's for sure. Like there's a lot of people that have been involved and tinkering in here and all sorts of things over weekends. So, you know, you go down there and then you've got the nice twin 3-inch that goes just before the diff. Okay. And there's just nowhere to squeeze them past there, just busy underneath that tray. So you've got to get in there, and then Lurch's custom fabrication, he's done some little intricate TIG work. He's way better TIG welder than I am, so I always get him to do all the nice work. Yeah, then the diff was four-wheel drive, full sheet metal, custom, 35 spline, 3 2 gears. Okay. So yeah, it's set to do. We're planning on around the 900 horsepower with the setup that it's got to do somewhere in the 8s. Okay. So when we get it to hook up, but obviously it'll be a few trials and see what it does and get it off the ground. And yeah, then the tray I built really heavy, so I wanted it to drive really nice. I put some weights, a 3mm plate on the back, so I've made it so then you can adjust your suspension to deal with a bit more like a modern day car, because I hated the way it drove prior with the wood tray back, and it bounces like you're trotting on a horse, and I couldn't stand it, so we did it all heavier, and then now you can adjust, and the thing drives like a brand new car. If you wouldn't know you're in a VE to a whichever you're in, and it just can hook and hold the road. You can hang the tail out wherever you like, obviously at a track, not in the street. But yeah, you can really feel that weight and the way the car handles, so it drives really nice.
And as far as like ignition, your coil and stuff like that, MSD, or you're running?
Yep, so it's all MSD, digital 7 spec. It's and it's got a Link Thunder computer, so that runs everything else. We've never quite finished the tune. There's bits and pieces left, and we've changed bits, and we're waiting. So then I've got my, we were talking before, that changed the boost up to somewhere around the 20 odd pound. So
fair enough.
We'll go into there. So there was no point in finishing doing 100% of the last bit of the tune. So it's still running pretty safe. So we'll put the new boost pulley on it, and then spend all the money putting it into there again.
I mean, as far as like the radiator, this is a massively thick radiator too. What is that? What brand is that?
So that's PWR. So I've run multiples of these over the years, and they are a really, really good radiator. And this thing just cycles perfectly driving up to Chidlow or wherever we're going.
Yeah, nice.
And it sits at 82, 85. It sits there all day long.
Yeah, good temperature.
Absolutely spot on. Pretty much aim for all the cars to do around the 82, so that's where I like them to sit, and yeah, just purrs like a kitten. We'll
move on to the interior, but before we do that, like as far as like how did you actually start with the passion of getting into cars and that? You know, obviously you've had parents or some that maybe, or friends that got you into it, so how did it all start for you?
I was a hoon from the womb, mate. That's what it was. I had no choice whatsoever. My dad was a big car fanatic, building and racing go-karts, and just always tinkering in the shed. So I was hanging on to Dad's leg, and in there learning on the lathe and all the other stuff. And Dad used to bronze everything together, so he'd teach me bronzing and all sorts of odd trade secrets and stuff. But yeah, that's where that all started, and it just got worse and worse when we lived in the country as kids, and it just drift up and down gravel roads, and I thought, oh, how do I do that? How do I do a whippy, Dad?
Yeah.
And then just went from there.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I was a lost cause.
And this car, like we said before, this won Grand Champion at Summernats, wasn't it? What year was that? 2017,
so Summernats 30. So that was the one they kept the Sword and the Stone, Excalibur. So they kept that for Summernats 30, and I was lucky enough to get that sword.
Oh, so, wicked! Yeah.
So it sits in the house in my little old. I got a 1940s room. I like, and it fits perfectly to match everything in there.
Oh, great!
So, it was a very special year. Obviously, my dad passed away 2 days before, so I never got to fight. Found out we won. So he helped me build this thing, and found out on the way over. Got to Renmark, and that's when we got the call that Dad passed away. And so, it was a very up and down emotional spec.
Definitely would have been bittersweet.
Oh, it was, and I didn't know what my reaction. I was smiling and crying at the same time. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So it was, it was a really odd time, but I still think he probably was up there pulling all the other cars apart so I could win. Make sure wires fell off or something for me.
Perfect, mate, perfect.
So,
and you definitely have a bit of a theme going with the HQ, so it's obviously a point that you actually like and enjoy is the Q version of the Holden series.
Yeah, no, that's I love lots of cars, and you don't normally hear me say it, but I mean I even like XR Falcons. I think they're a beautiful looking car. But then I had HRs and EHs, and I don't know how many cars I had at one stage sitting on the lawn. It was getting ridiculous. Yeah. And then I had to call it at one, and I know I'm going to go back to the original love that I wanted, which was HQs. So and then that way I only need to keep, one set of spare parts.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So upstairs is just all HQ. All up there, just lots of boxes of little clips and bits and bobs.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and mates like Anthony come over and go, can I go up to your little shopping Walmart up there and go and pinch some parts. I like to make sure that if something comes in here, because some people chop off odds and sods of parts, and I just make sure if that comes in at that free cost or whatever, it goes out of that free cost. So it just helps someone else build a car.
Yeah, perfect.
So,
no, awesome. All right, well, let's go have a look in the interior, mate.
All right, no worries.
Mate, there's a lot going on in here.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a busy little area for a small cab. Yeah, as you can see, there's funny looking box here. So that's our water to air intercooler. That's as big as I could just about figure to get in here. So that goes all the way up to the firewall and the bracings of the dash and sits down. And Lurch from Lurch's Custom Fab, he did all these main bits of pipe work.
Wow.
Go up and under and around and join into the firewall, go into the engine. So yeah, he did a fantastic job there.
Yeah, and the welding on that was fantastic.
Yeah, can weld. Weld. So yeah, that's all part of that side. And then there's some water lines that go out and then go above the chassis.
Okay. So
I've notched all the bottom of the cab and then run them all the way so you can't see them underneath the car. So they're all hidden with the fuel lines, everything's gone. And it hides up above, runs down, and then we'll be able to see the actual reservoir plus radiator and water pump that's all hiding in the back under the tray.
And this dash is like changed heaps from the factory one.
Well, yeah, it's quite an interesting one as well because it was a HX cab.
Okay.
So I wanted HQ this side, and I thought HX glove boxes looked, so I've designed that way, and Gareth Locker was nice enough to do this with me, so he's a main fabricator as well. And then we decided just to, for fun, put a TV that goes in there as well, but we've never hooked it up. Can't hear it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, just thought it was missing something there, so we went, we better put something.
Yeah, fair.
So that's why it's shaped that way and all out of sheet metal. And then through here, obviously you got all your billet buttons, and I quite like the old school Pro Comp series of the autometer. And then you've got the LED lights, which is quite interesting. No one even looks at these sort of things, but all the little aluminium spaces that are behind, Dad pushed it out and then we made thicker ones and made them larger, and it just didn't quite, they looked too skinny to be in there because the fascias were slightly more broad, you would say, and so they didn't quite fit the theme, so we made those in there, and then it sort of goes with the theme then, and the thickness of the gauges. Yeah, it's got the old tiltable column, so it's nice and easy, so you can sit it at a nice height when you're in the driver's seat. Obviously with the lower race seats, then the column would have sat up too high, so then sitting it lower in the car is a lot nicer feel, makes you feel more like a race car, the way that it's set up.
Then you got roll bars everywhere, in roll cage, sorry, in through here.
So this was a fella called Dan. He did this years and years ago, and not sure if he's doing anything with cars these days. He moved down into the country, but yeah, couldn't thank him enough to help doing this, and we pieced this all together, and this was all done here, tinkering along, and he did all the welding, bending, and all that.
He's done a great job.
Fantastic job. So then it's got the side protrusion bars as well that go in there, but this just makes it easier, so take them out. And Jason at World Custom Trim did all the job in here. So this interior, we pushed so hard before Motivation 30 because it got unveiled, or not unveiled, but went to Motivation a year before Summernats. And we didn't have time, and I forgot, just totally forgot. I was so rushed to put the seatbelts in, so I wasn't allowed to compete for Grand Champ that year.
Oh, okay.
So I just had to leave it sitting in the hall. But he did all of this, the flooring, did the seats, door trims, 4 days. And I went down there every day with him, drove down, and we punched this thing out so quick. And then got it back the night before. We put, back then it was custom panel and paint, quickly did the tray, the bonnet, and all of this car came together in 5 days, and it was with bare in here and nothing bonnet, no nothing.
Wow.
I was burnt to a crisp. I had nothing left, nothing left to give. So Yeah, so yeah, the rush that I did was ridiculous, and as I said, my dad passed away, but I would go to the hospice and see my dad until about 10 or 11, and then I'd work in here till midnight at night, and then I'd go back see dad, and then I'd be back down here and then do the same thing every day.
Yep.
For I think 7 months.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Ready.
Surprised you didn't get bloody burnt out?
I was burnt out, all right, and got big infections in my arms and all sorts of things because cuts everywhere, and had to spend Summernats 30 in the Canberra hospital on a drip, and then they let me out the day before so I could go and compete. They told me to stay in there, and I said there's not a chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, they called me an idiot as I walked out of there, but I'm still here.
When it comes to cars, so
I'm still here.
that's it. That's it, mate.
So yeah.
Well, this thing is absolutely sensational, but I know there's a hell of a lot more underneath that tray, so I think we should go check it out.
Yeah, no problems at all.
Sounds good. Oh, it's all the way down. All right, Happy. Like you said, there's a lot going on at the back there, and there is. So tell us about the whole setup you got at the back here.
Well, it's a busy rear end because you've got to the way to try to get a tonner to stance correctly, the tray has to be below the side body line. Okay, so the swage in the middle. By dropping that down about 50 mil, it makes the appearance at the rear end's a lot lower. So you got to set the tray first, and then you got to try to fit everything else underneath it. All of the chassis for one to fit the tyres, that's notched 7 inches either side. So we can move that in. Then braced, I liked all the original sides from the 1 tonner. So I made all the little guard matchings to keep all the mud and weather out, just to make it a little subtle neatness in there. All the fuel lines and all the wiring obviously hides all inside the braid. We got our transcooler here, obviously trying to help the gearbox. Then you've got your water reservoir for the intercooler, and then our radiator to cool it so it pulls down, and then the water pump below that. And you'll see in the tray it's turret punched out by NSM, new sheet metal, Keith and Donna.
Wow.
They did that for me, so then it can pull down the air over the top, and then it's just a track locator and parallel 4-link. Final drive, full custom sheet metal 9-inch, obviously in there. And then nice little drop tank. Instead of doing a fuel cell, the old school way was drop tanks, and I didn't like the straps, so went with the little brackets that go on the inside to hide how it mounts. Not around the chassis because it looked a bit skinny. So designed it to go out there, and that was done by Tradie Customs back in the day, so over 10 years ago. I wanted to be able to pull up to the servo on either side, so I like the symmetrical fuel filler in the back there. And it all seems to work in here, and it's got millimetres of areas where it can just fit, and then obviously the gas struts, so it just lifts itself up, so you don't have to lift that 3mm plate steel that I was talking about before. So you obviously noticed that the tail shaft in there.
Yeah, that's like, almost as thick as my leg. So,
That's a carbon fibre Kevlar tail shaft, so from the States.
Okay.
So otherwise you have to go to a 2-piece. So I didn't want to start making more brackets and have another moving part. And so Phil Purser again said he can get a hold of these, so we did all the measurements, and it fits absolutely perfectly.
No, this is a fantastic setup, mate, and it's no wonder you actually won Grand Champion. This thing's a beast.
Thank you. No, it was a long labour of love, and yeah, I'll let you know on one of the other bits that no one ever, they notice very rarely. I go, "Where's your battery?"
Yeah.
And I go, "You know how hard that was to hide?"
Yeah.
So behind that passenger seat, there's a special little well in the side of the back here.
Okay.
And there's 2 Harley batteries in parallel, just hiding in there with a little vent tube, and that just sits in there with millimetre perfect, and it's
nice.
Hidden away. So I can't find batteries.
Yeah. So. No, that's absolutely perfect.
There are things that you look at now and you go, I could have built that different, could have done that. But it's like anything, it evolves, and you sort of, then you go, you weigh up the cost and time, and you go, no, it's staying exactly as it is.
Now, you've got a few other toys in here that, you know, we could have a quick chat about. So, have you got a couple of projects and you got this yellow beast here. So, this one here, obviously this is a toy, you play with it often because we can see the back of it a bit.
Yeah.
So, tell us about this.
This is my first cue that I ever bought. This one was 21 years ago, and that one's evolved and had 3 different combos in it, and it's got now a 402, probably. It's about 402, 18 degree Brodix heads. It made 750 on the engine dyno. It's a nice stout little small block Chev. It sits at about 7,500, quite lovely.
Perfect.
Loves it, it's a great little car. Just full manual built turbo 400 box by Gonzo at Allfast. And Brian's done the motor for us at Outlaw Performance. And again, with a final drive rear end in there, just 3 inches shortened to fit these wheels behind me.
Yep.
So they're normal play tyres, but I'd like to take that one to motivation and beat the daylights out of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I built that one to have some fun with. That's my, what do you call it, my fun release for each year.
Yep.
So going down there and enjoying it and catching up with all the car kids and yeah, and having fun over the weekend and a couple of beers, hanging out.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, so that's that one, and it's been around forever, and not clean engine bay,
Yeah.
just very more of a straightable spec. It's got a different bonnet for the straight, and
Interesting is the number plate. So, tell us about that.
so
Because that would be a bit hard to call out at a motor show, wouldn't it?
yeah, it is quite funny when they say that, oh, there you go, Happy's out there in your mum. So that's why we did it, and we all thought it was going to be pretty funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets a few giggles. So, well, I was always said if I was going to do a burnout run and actually go out and compete, I've been on the pad 3 times now, so
Okay.
that's all I've done. So I thought it was very appropriate to do it and make it funny.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't think it'll come back out and go on a skid pad again.
Okay.
I think I've beaten up on it enough, and bits of quarter panels missing there.
Yeah.
So
Needs a bit more like love again, and get it back.
I'll give it a bit of a spruce up and paint and put all the metal back in there again. So
Yeah.
and then put it back to street duties.
You've got these other ones. You got a panel van here, and you got a Statesman. So, what are these project cars about?
We always love the panos, but as you can see, they're all HQs.
Yep.
So I wanted one of every body type, so a bit selfish.
Yep.
But the only one I don't have is a 2-door. So they're really quite hard to get. And I like buying them as a shell more and then piece them together. Like this one here, the front was all painted in blue, rattle can by somebody over the top. Thought that was a good idea to do that. And
Yeah.
I wanted to put it back because the back end of it is so straight and it's surviving, and there's only a couple of tiny bits of rust in this one, but very, very straight, clean car.
Yep.
And so I've had to find doors and then found some cards, same, no rust, but just a little patina spec on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Then I had to buy a whole nother panel van and to get a nose cone that's on the wall that matches the colour. So that one is all going to come out, not paint that one. That one's going to come out as it is. Just with just a mild cam, 350, turbo 350.
Perfect.
It's already got the shortened 9-inch in it. So yeah, that'll be just a nice one, and I'll probably end up driving around Australia in that as well. Yeah. So make a little trailer, carry my stuff, and yeah, just open-ended tour around Australia in that one. Obviously we've got this is a 308 matching number Statesman. Couple little bits of rust. I've just opened up the holes of where they were all had some holes on the roof there, and the floors are really good. There's a couple of little holes. The 308 runs like a dream. It's like a clock, this thing. Yeah, couldn't believe that it's still the matching number when I sent away to make sure it was, and came back. Then I found out a fella only 2 streets over built this back in '94.
Oh wow, okay.
After it was used in a armed robbery back in the day.
Geez.
And it was gold, and so he had enough of getting pulled over by the cops, and so he went and painted it white to get the cops off his back. Yep. And then sold it, and I went through a few different hands, and then so I've got that one now, and that one is it's a licensed car, so I won't take it out since it's been left and not looked after. So
Yeah.
I'll fix the rust there, and then that one will get going. And then also the fella that painted it white, he gutted a Monaro for the original the GDS guards on it.
Yeah, okay.
And the GDS dash, and all the little extras that it's got, the GDS wheel, and so back in the day when they weren't worth much, the Monaros.
Oh, yeah.
So gutted one of those to build this, and I went, thank you.
Yep.
So now I've got the GDS guards, which I'll leave on there, and it'll just be a nice plod along cruiser, just bog stock 308. Thinking this one might go gunmetal grey is what I lean towards. And then I've got some HQ seats with some other bits that sit upstairs there with that nice dark burgundy sort of like oxblood style seats.
Yeah, nice.
And I thought if I go with that, then it brings it back with the dark grey. And then my grandfather had old 3.5 Rovers.
Okay.
And I used to sneak in there and smell all that old leather, and and I was just in love with that. And they were white, 2 white ones and a grey one, I think he had. And then with all the same interior, and it was just beautiful. Yeah. So I'm leaning towards that.
And you're going to follow the theme with the number plates? Are you going to give them different versions of happy?
Yeah, well, the blue one's got happier. So,
Okay,
so that one's there. And the battle van's got happy ending.
Yep.
And,
suits it down to a T.
And then, the only one that's not is my wagon, which has got a long roof.
Okay.
So the old nickname for a wagon.
Yep.
So, that's got that one. So, it's pretty... I tried to do most of them, and get them all done, as you can see. So, I think it's quite a good thing to keep it all going.
Well, it definitely identifies you on the road, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, well, that's true.
They've been great fun over the years, and I'm looking forward to getting into this and get this one out so I can go cruising again. So.
Yeah, no, awesome, mate. Well, you've got a great car collection. You've got awesome cars. This car is killer. Really happy you could have a chat with us at Aussie Garage, so we really appreciate it, buddy.
No, it's been fantastic, mate.
Awesome,
Thank
mate.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.